Connie.
Hey, Suzanne.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to our channel, All Things Hallmark. Let's get into it. Let's talk about the Winterfest Countdown.
Absolutely.
Okay, so this weekend they started with two movies, A Winter Princess and
a love story.
I
Winter
Love
love story.
Great. Okay, so let's talk about the first one because I enjoyed it so much. So we have this princess. Her name is it Princess Carly? And then this gorgeous man. Ladies, gentlemen, that man's dimples are so perfect. Ooh, I was like, yes. He was a hot throb. Yes. Okay. So what we know about the princess is she stayed 4 years at boarding school. And then she spent a year in hiatus incognito, not being a princess, and she's been working at this resort for a whole year. And one of the things that she put on her application was that she wanted to create a great event. So that's her background. That's something that she had been inspiring to do. I loved her personality. She was sweet. She was friendly. She was super, super helpful to the community. What did you think of her?
She, everything, as her father says in the movie, everything anyone had to say about her was all positive. She really brought a lot of joy to the community. She brought a lot of love to the community. She brought a lot of unity to the community. And so those were the things that, she brought. And in just being herself, she didn't have to use her name or her title or any of that. Just being herself, she was able to bring all of that to that community. And I thought that was really big because a lot of times, we feel like we got to have a whole lot in order to do or impact other people's lives. And that wasn't the case for her. And so, yeah, I really liked her as a princess.
You know what? That's a good point. The point of life is it doesn't matter what other people see you as, because everybody, when she was at home, saw her as this princess. But so it doesn't matter what my name is. It doesn't matter what my job calls me. What matters is how I treat people, who
Absolutely.
I am. That my actions will speak louder than my words. My actions will speak louder than my titles. And that's another good point, is that she didn't have a sense of entitlement. Not only was she humble, but she was helpful. And so
Absolutely.
she was more concerned about other people, which is really what the movie was about. She was one of the people who championed and said, let's save this particular community, because there were people. This is a ski resort that used to be open all year long. So when it wasn't snowing, they came there so that they could go fishing and do wonderful things that you could do in the summertime. But now because of the that particular resort, I guess, was having their own recession, they were starting to close down in the summertime. But she was finding ways, creative ways. Her partnered with Jesse were finding ways to keep the thing open. So again, for me, the moral of this story is not about what title you wear. It's about the actions that you show. That's what people are going to judge. That is what people will see. And it's one of those, actions speak louder than words. Well, if your title is a word, your actions is what people will be kind to. If you're kind to them, they'll be kind to you. Now let's talk about Jesse.
But right before we go to Jesse, again, I want to say Hallmark did this awesome job with taking this princess who was a very qualified princess, a very committed princess in her own right, but made her even more of a princess just being herself. She was able to do, I think her princess qualities were shown in her being herself and doing her thing, because, it was like she had to do it like everybody else had to do it. She had to get volunteers. She had to raise money. She had to get donations. She had to, all of that. And she did it without saying, I'm Princess Carly. So I really like that.
That was so important.
Yes, yes, yes. So this young man who she's partnered with, if you remember in the movie, there was one point where she was introducing him to her family, to her brother and their close friend, I believe it was. And the more they wanted to make reference to her being a princess, the more she played it down. They don't do that here. Yeah, we come from a very small place, nothing big, So the more they, you know, and I'm sure they were probably saying, what is wrong with her? But at any rate, you know, this young man, he ends up falling in love with her. Of course, that's Hallmark. And as he falls in love with her, I think we've mentioned it before, Suzanne, you got to be really willing to give up the big stuff. And so he falls in love with her, and he's good with her as long as she's got on the pea coat and the jeans and they're having a snowball fight and all of that. But when the night came that she had to dress in her royal attire and be the princess, problems start to arise.
Because then he started doubting, really, am I good enough? Who am I to date a princess? Okay, so let's talk about him. So he is really one of the, and he in himself really is American royalty for that particular city, for that particular town. He grew up there. It looks like his parents kind of founded this particular area, or they were very helpful and grounded in it, making the community and what the community was. And so they had their own ski resort, and it had lots of land. And so they were really interacting with people all the time. And everyone knew him. When he came in, someone who had known him since he was a little boy calls him initially by his nickname. And he says, so I don't go by that anymore. I haven't went by that Jelly Bean in 25 years. And she was like, well, I'm just going to call you JB. So that was really cute. But he looked like he also wanted to have an identity outside of the one that his family had. So he was working somewhere else.
Yeah, you know, I think it's all about, Suzanne, being able to just be yourself, you know, again, reminding people that what you do is just what you do. It's not necessarily who you are, but so many times what we do begins to shape us in the eyes of other people. And so this is what's happening to both of these young people. And, you know, again, both of them just want to be themselves. You know, they want to know that people are attracted to them because of who they are when they're with them, and not necessarily who they are in the community and what they've accomplished in their lives. And so, yeah, he was the same way. He just wanted to be accepted for who he was. And even though he didn't want to go by that nickname again, I think that's who he wanted to be accepted for. You know, that kid, that boy, that man. And you know, it's difficult. And then you have his family that has these expectations of him. You know, even with the resort, you know, there's a lot of work to be done if this resort is going to stay open and continue to thrive. And technically, he said, I don't want no parts of it. I'm just trying to be me, you know?
I do. I think that was one of the great lessons, that people just want to be who they are. They want to be recognized for them being themselves, their authentic selves, and not conforming to what the family expectation was. But in the end, even though he had went and lived his own life and did things outside of what his family expected him to do, when push came to shove, when the hard times came, his sister had been running this organization, and she, in her own words, was like, two people, it's a lot of work for two people, but she had maintained it by herself. And so that was also a good lesson, that he was ready to come back, because now he wants the family, and now he sees the value, because absent makes the heart go fonder. And so with him being gone from his family for so long, when he returned back to where he grew up, when we return back to our roots and being able to look back and connect, look where we've come from, he was able to really say, I want to be here. I want to see this thing go further than it's been already. So that was cool.
Yeah, you know, love has a tendency to impact more than just your heart, you know? And as he falls in love with this princess, I think he comes to understand, like you said, the value of family even more so, to the point that he was willing to even walk away from his love for her so that she could go back home and fulfill the obligations that she had and the promises that she made and the commitments that she had. He was willing to walk away from her and to allow her to go and do that, because he knew now the importance of being there for your family, being there to help, and the commitment that comes along with, can I just say, whatever your name is. There are commitments. You know, I say the same thing, Suzanne, about friendships and that. Don't just throw the word around loosely. There's some commitments that come with saying, this is my friend. There are some commitments that come along with saying, this is my family. And I think Hallmark did a great job of showing that in this movie, that these young people were willing to do what they were willing to do.
I agree. I absolutely
agree.
agree. Okay, so we know that you are the camera woman. So while you're getting this camera together, and as everyone can see, we're not in a studio. We are in our homes, just girl chatting. So you
the
get to
same place that we watch Hallmark.
You get to eavesdrop about us talking about the good things of Hallmark. Absolutely. So before we go to the next movie, I think what you said was so very valuable. By the way, the lighting is even better now. So I get to see your beautiful, pretty smile. Even better. I miss you so much, Connie. One of the things that I heard you say, or what I identify with regarding family, is listen, family is important. And we need to value that. So many times we let little tiny arguments, little disagreements make something that was so small become mountains and mountains and miles away. And before you know it, you're out of communication with your family. You're not connected anymore. And so, viewers, I want you to understand that family is important, even if it requires you to forgive and forget. Yes. If you have family, you don't want to wait and it be too late to reconcile the situation. And so many times we think, oh, I got plenty of time to make it better. But not always. You don't know when the time of that person will expire. So family is important. If you have family members that you haven't communicated with in a while, or you had a little tiff with, make it better. So that was my takeaway from what you said. Make it better, because family is important.
Absolutely. I remember, I can't even remember what movie it was, but I remember her saying, fix it, you know, because you're absolutely right. And, you know, as we're ending this particular movie, it, you know, as he's walking away, he's telling her, you know, I love you, but because of your obligations, I can't even ask you to walk away from your family. And then he gets the opportunity to meet her father, though he does not know it is her father. Right. And he's even sharing with him, you know, how he's feeling and why he's walking away. And I believe in the eyes of the father, I saw a light bulb go off as well, Suzanne. I think the father even then realized, I've got to let my daughter be who she is, you know? And so we're not going to give away what happened at the end of the movie, because we definitely want you to go out there and watch it, and definitely do it now while they're doing the countdown. I'm hoping that it's in the countdown, you know. Can I just put it in there? You know me, Suzanne. How come I don't know when the movie coming on? I'm just saying.
Hey, Hallmark, we need you to get this together. I don't know who decided what was the top 5 movies of the Winterfest that you were going to be holding, but I think I should have been, and Connie should have been a part of your review board.
Absolutely.
And the other thing is, you've blocked off, it just says Winterfest Countdown. I don't know what movie's coming on. Am I about to see a new movie? Am I going to see a movie that you played this season? It left too much room for confusion, and I say just do away with that. Let's not be confused. Tell me what movie's coming on and what time, so I can block off that time in my calendar, so I can make sure that I sit down and watch it. I'm not.
Because we're all things Hallmark. You know, it's funny, but it, you know, it's just so true. I said all the time, you know, my kids would say, Mom, they said that's not, well, who's they? I'm asking Hallmark, who is they? Who said that these were the top movies? And I'm not saying that they're not good movies, but sometimes I see one that I'm saying, yeah, that was number 11. That wasn't number 10. That wasn't in top 10, you know?
Exactly, and that's all we're saying.
Yeah.
You made the deciding factor that these were the top 5, because you didn't call me, and I'm doing a review. Okay, so let's talk about the next movie.
Okay, so A Winter Love Story. When I tell you it was awesome. Now, I will say this. I've noticed in the Hallmark movies, there are a lot of storylines around the actor or actress being a writer. If you think about it, there's a lot of movies where the main character is a writer. And the same is for this particular movie. We have a writer, I believe it's Cassie. And so she's struggling. You know, she's on book number 2. I've written a book, so I know the struggle. The struggle is
Me
real.
too. Okay, so let's just shamelessly plug our books in. What's the name of your book, Connie?
Grow Girl, turning your stumbling blocks into stepping stones. And how about you, Suzanne?
Living Victoriously After Divorce. So are you divorced people? Go to my website, Living Victoriously After Divorce.
Absolutely.
Okay, back to the movie.
I love it. See, this is why we sit in our homes and do this for you guys, because if you don't have a little joy in your life, definitely watching All Things Hallmark will bring some joy in your life. And that's what Hallmark does. And even in this character's life, when I tell you she was a negative Nelly, we talk about accountability jars where I come from. And Lord, if she had a accountability jar, it would have been full, because she, even though she was already recognized as a good writer, she still struggled with self-confidence. And her mother continuously was trying to build her up and encourage her and, you know, telling her to keep going. She had a friend that was there that was always encouraging her. And then she gets connected with this award-winning author to go on a book tour. And they go on the book tour, and during the book tour, he is spending so much time encouraging her and help building her confidence in herself. And Suzanne, you know that is something that we face, you know, just in our everyday walk. We face being connected, running into, working alongside and supporting women who have lost their confidence.
Yes, confidence is important, and everyone needs to, because our society that we live in, listen, I believe that everybody has a purpose. And so we need you to be confident in who you are and what you were created to be. And even if you make mistakes, we all make mistakes. But be confident that you are good and nobody is better at being who you are. So be confident.
Absolutely. And so that's what, you know, they began to exude in this movie. She's got a lot of growth to do in her own life, a lot of personal growth that she needs to do. And it's funny that it's around the very thing that she's good at. You know, when you look at that and you say, okay, that's the thing she's good at, and she doesn't have confidence. And so, you know, they want to help boost her sales. They want to boost her image and everything. And so they connect her with this awesome writer who's already, you know, at the top of his game in his own right. And so he goes on this tour with her, which again, very humble, because, you know, what award-winning author really wants to go on the road with the struggling author, so to speak? But he was excited about it. He was ready. She was the one that was a little hesitant. They needed to come together and to be who they were. And so, yeah, so they get on this tour, and as they're on the tour and he's building her confidence, he's encouraging her. Her mother again and her friend are all along the way. His publisher and all of those, they're really helping her out. And they get to one scene that I really love, Suzanne. And it's where, you know, we come to find out that he's written 2 books and he's struggling with book number 3. Oh. And so every time someone would ask him about book number 3, he would circumvent it with some other piece of conversation, some other comment, or whatever the case is. Well, this particular time, it seems as though he's caught off guard. Oh, and guess who comes to his rescue, everybody? Yes. She says, the audience says, hey, what about that 3rd book? And she says, 3rd book? I'm so grateful for book number 1 and 2. I'm so in love with book number 1 and 2. I'm going to read that again. Who's with me? And again, the question about the 3rd book is deflected, and she helps him out in the same way that he had been helping her out all of this time. And so again, our takeaway, or my takeaway from this, is it's about helping people to build their self-confidence. And it doesn't matter how great you are at what you're doing. Always take some time to pull someone up that's struggling to do what it is that you're doing. You know, there's enough room for all of us to be good at what we do. And so this movie to me was really all about building your self-confidence. And again, Hallmark, kudos to you in showing real life scenarios of we struggle, even in the things that we do very well. And all of us need somebody that's willing to walk alongside us, despite how, if I can use this word, famous they might be. you know, how great at it they might be. We all need someone that's willing to walk alongside us. And who knows, there may come a time when that very same person has to boost you and encourage you. What do you think, Suzanne?
I think that's great. I think, again, the message is about helping one another, being encouraging, being there for somebody, because you never know when you're going to need somebody to be there for you.
Yeah.
I know that's true in all the years I've been alive. I'm grateful for those who are my friends. I'm grateful for those who help me out and encourage me. As a matter of fact, that's what life is about. The circle of life is helping one another. So as you can see, I'm sitting and the sun is moving in and out. Her sun is moving in and out. Well, the earth is moving and the sun is standing still. So our lighting has changed once again. We're not in a studio. This is live. We are at home just chatting it up. So we won't keep you. I really enjoyed these movies. I love the messages. That's what we're here for. That's all things Hallmark, but we want to talk about the message because anybody can talk about the review. Let's talk about the message, because the messages, that's what makes the movie so fabulous. Don't you agree, Connie?
Yes, yes. And again, a big kudos to Hallmark for, you know, walking beside us as we walk through this life. It's so encouraging to be able to go out and watch movies that really speak into our lives. That's really, I mean, I know it's fiction, but it really isn't fiction. The movie itself is fiction, but the message in the movie, that's not fiction. That's real life. And so we are thankful to Hallmark for doing that. And again, we thank you all for coming into our homes with us every week and letting us share our passion, our heart. Oh, Suzanne, did I tell you I had guests over the other night? And their question was, when I invited them over, they said, we're going to watch football or Hallmark? And you know what I said, right? Okay, I'm just saying. Hey, I'm not a fair weather fan. I am all things Hallmark.
All things Hallmark. All right,
All
thank you
right,
guys.
see you later. See you next time.
Wait. Don't forget, like our video, tell everybody you know, take that video, send it to some people, so share it, and subscribe so that you don't miss out. We will be here next weekend. But so it's like, share, and subscribe. All things Hallmark. Have a great day, guys.
All things Hallmark. Until next time.